For over 160 years, this church, you have been helping to respond to the spiritual hunger in this community. I'm David Erdley, and I serve as senior pastor here at St. Paul's, and I want to invite you to partner with us, or to continue to partner with us as we love God and as we love our neighbor as ourselves. We recognized early on as a church that being in ministry together was far stronger than doing something separately or alone. We realized that God was calling us into this great mission. And so from our very beginnings, responding to that need of that spiritual hunger in our community has been core to who we are as St. Paul's United Methodist Church. You may have noticed that we've moved our stewardship campaign to March of this year. We've moved it out of the fall. One of the reasons we wanted to do that was we wanted to take some time and really think about the stewardship and the faith component of our giving, to move beyond responding to a church budget and thinking about that question, God, how are you asking me to give? We believe in walking on a disciple's path, and it's an understanding that our journey of faith is one that's shared together. It's not just an individual walk, but it's one that we do together. We use terms such as discipleship as a way of marking that journey as a follower of Jesus Christ. But we also use a term such as stewardship. And stewardship is one of the ways in which we recognize how the gifts that God has placed within our lives, how those gifts have been given to us to be used, our resources, and the impact that those resources have on the lives around us. I think about Vacation Bible School, our music ministries, Stephen Ministry, the mission work that we do with our youth work trips are all a response of your stewardship, of the giving of your gifts to God through St. Paul's. We're inviting you to take this journey this season and to be intentional, to make this time a time for you to really think about how is God calling you to give, thinking about your blessings, thinking about the way that God has provided for you and for your life over the years, and trusting in the God who is present with us even now. Part of the Taking the Next Step campaign involves several key components, and the first is recognizing that we worship in a God of abundance. So we are born to be generous because the God that we worship is always generous with us. We also recognize too that life is, our perspective for living is just enhanced when we ground our own view in gratitude. Recognizing that we take each breath, each heartbeat as a sign of thankfulness of all that God has provided. So grounding ourselves in gratitude is part of this journey that we'll be taking in the month of March. We also recognize the power of prayer. This spiritual journey is one that is not individual. We are speaking to God, but we're also listening to God in prayer. Our theme for this campaign is taking the next step, because we're really asking everyone to think about where they are in relation to their giving. And maybe this is the season, maybe this is that moment to take a next step, to increase our giving in some way. And so we invite you to be praying about that as we move through this journey, especially the prayer that we've highlighted before, God, how are you calling me to give? Now, I know that this journey takes faith. It also takes trust. You've already done that as you've been following Jesus Christ. But during this month, we're going to be stretching ourselves a little bit around our faith and trust and really thinking about how has God been at work in my life? Where has God taken that next step for me? And how have I responded to that blessing that God has provided? We'll be sending out brochures to our congregation, so you'll have a brochure with lots more information about this campaign. Within the brochure, you'll find a giving path. And this path is there as a way to help celebrate the giving that is occurring already within our church. I'm going to invite you, when you get that brochure, to take a look at that giving path and kind of see which step you are at this time, and know that we're grateful. We're grateful for the gifts that have been received, and then celebrate how giving is a part of your journey of faith. Within a brochure, you'll see 5 different steps in the giving path. The first is the first-time giver. We are celebrating the person who is making that initial contribution, that initial gift to God through St. Paul's. The next step is an intentional giver. This is someone who's making a regular contribution. So they move from that first-time gift to now they're giving a regular. Maybe it's monthly, maybe it's weekly. The next step after that is the growing giver. This is a giver who, as they've thought about their giving, is now giving a particular percentage of their income to the church. It's part of their response and their discipleship. It's how they're growing in their faith in Jesus Christ. Following the growing giver, we have the tither. And a tither is someone who has made the decision to set aside 10% of their income to the church. So they're making a 10% gift to the church. Beyond tithing, there's another step called the extravagant giver. And that's for the person who's making a gift beyond 10%. We're grateful that giving is a part of your faith journey, and we hope that this giving path will help you to pray and discern and reflect where you are on that path, and maybe this is the time that God is inviting you to take that next step in your giving. Beyond prayer, we're offering an opportunity and a resource called A Generous Life, which is a 28-day devotional. This book, which will be available at church, will also be part of our Daily Connector emails, so you can receive this devotion each day. You can read it, pray through it, and help it guide you and help you when you're thinking about your giving through this campaign. Beyond our devotion, we're also offering the Generosity Challenge. This will be a 4-week small group experience during March. Through video, this book, and through conversation, we'll continue to talk about stewardship, to think about giving, and to be grateful to God for how God has provided within our lives. Another step in our journey will take place on Sunday, March 22nd. On that Sunday, we'll be distributing the Estimate of Giving cards. During the worship service, we will invite you to complete those cards. You've been praying about it throughout the month of March, reading our daily devotions, maybe involved in a small group. And on that Sunday, together as a congregation, we'll make our commitments. We will be celebrating God's abundance, but also we will be celebrating your response, your giving to God through St. Paul's for this coming year. I invite you to be here on Sunday, March 22nd for that very special Sunday in the life of our church. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like you, I'm going to be praying that prayer, God, how are you calling me to give? And I look forward to seeing how we as a church, in responding to that prayer, will be an answer to prayer to those in our community as we continue to reach out and satisfy that spiritual hunger in our community by loving God and by loving our neighbors as ourselves.